starting the evening talk here, we have with us Dr. Dave Flanigan, who is now the current 2022 president for our chapter. In addition to that, Dave is a member of the principal professional staff for the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory and is the vice chair of the Johns Hopkins University Systems Engineering Program. And of course, he is an active practitioner and speaker within the systems engineering community. Some further background: Dr. Flanigan has worked at the Applied Physics Laboratory for about 21 years, supporting government sponsors in their early systems engineering stages of development. He often works within various integrated product team structures in association with the government, industry, academia, in order to plan and execute analytic studies that support development of advanced concepts and integrated acquisition strategies. He was previously stationed in Washington, D.C. Prior to this, as he's now retired from the United States Naval Reserves, and that was before arriving at the APL. He was a surface warfare officer who had served aboard 2 different Aegis cruisers. Dr. Flanigan holds a bachelor's in physics from Arizona, master's in information systems and technology from Johns Hopkins, master's in systems engineering from Johns Hopkins, and a PhD in systems engineering and operations research from George Mason's University. He's also a member of Incose Institute for Operations Research and Management Sciences and the Military Operations Research Society, as well as Incose. So with all that, I'm now going to hand it back over to our speaker, Dave.
All right, great. Thanks, Lynn. Okay, all right. So now we have, so in my initial discussion with the chapter, I termed this systems engineering challenges in the near future. And so what do we want to talk about today? And so a couple of things. So it's actually good that we actually have a lot of either newer members or members that may not have been as intimately familiar with the Chesapeake chapter. And so one of the things that I wanted to look at was, kind of look backwards a little bit at where we've been, for the last couple of years, where we're at kind of, right now, and then where we're going in the future. So, so to be able to kind of say, here's the, the looking back as well as the looking forward. Yes, and I've been at the Applied Physics Lab for 21 years, and before that in the Navy, and then at various schools there. Okay, so who is the Chesapeake Chapter? If you don't know already, so the Chesapeake Chapter was founded in 1994. I think kind of near the beginning of Incose. Before that, it was Incose. And it's part of the Americas sector. So this is, on the right, Incose is divided into those kind of 3 sectors. The Americas sectors, those are in blue. The Asia, the South Pacific, those are in red. And then the EMEA, the Europe, Middle East, and Africa in green. And so this is from the Incose website. It's more interactive on the website, where you can actually go through and click on each one of the countries. And then, if you have, certain countries that have more than one chapter, they can kind of dive into that. So we're part of the Americas sector there, and again, around 300, I think I showed you, it was like 284, and that kind of fluctuates, with the renewal in addition of new members here. And then just a little history, what from last year's, what we've called the chapter circle winners. And so every year, chapters will kind of document along the way what they have done, to advance the state of systems engineering, within their chapter, within their region, within their community, and also within the organization. And so last year, you can see there, there's some individual ones with most improved chapter, most outstanding chapter. And then again, you've got different levels of awards in terms of platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, as well as the Good Neighbor award. And so we were actually fortunate to win two. One was a platinum award, and one was the Good Neighbor award, which is actually something that you get nominated by another chapter, not of your own. So if you want to know more about this, here's the links, down below, just in terms of the chapter awards, as well as the different chapters. If you want to know more about, different chapters within Incose. Okay, and what we've done, and these are just a couple of different snapshots from over the year. Up on top, this was our winter gala that was held in December, and that was some good times to be able to meet and greet folks that we hadn't seen in years. Some of our other awards, from our website that we've earned over the years. The one down below is actually not from this year. It was actually from I think this was in Orlando a couple of years ago. But anyway, it was just good snapshots of who's the Incose chapter, and definitely a good group of individuals. So again, if you want to know more, here's the links down below, in history of the Incose chapter. Okay, so last year, who we were in 2021. So these were our board of directors. As you just got to meet a few of us and hear about what we had done. And then also, it's not just the board of directors; it's also the associate directors, our chapter ambassadors, as well as our special interest group chairs. So again, these are other individuals that are dedicated, to the chapter, and obviously a lot more behind here. Not mentioned if you're working on committees or any other work that you're working with the chapter for. Okay, so that's who the board was and who the chapter was last year. And again, as you just saw here, who we are from this year. And we just had an election, electing Steve, Jason, Jennifer, and re-electing Mark for this year. Okay, and then what do you do as a chapter? So if you're new to Incose, here are some of the things that you can find. Not only just the Chesapeake chapter, but any chapter. In different chapters, we'll do different things. In the level of availability in terms of people, the chapter, membership. We're fortunate in the Chesapeake area, so this is in the kind of central Maryland, north and central Maryland, a little bit of the southern Pennsylvania. And a little bit of West Virginia, and some of our sister chapters, the Washington metropolitan area, which is a little bit more of the Northern Virginia area, and then the Southern Maryland chapter, which is obviously Southern Maryland. So we're fortunate. All three of our chapters are fortunate that we have a lot of members that are kind of densely, kind of located just physically, around in the area, as well as virtually, as we have some other members outside the area. And this is important because I've actually seen, and I've talked to other people from other chapters that have a lot greater distance to travel just to be able to make a meeting once a month. So we're actually fortunate to have and again with a lot of the sponsorship to have that right there. So what typically does a chapter do? Not every month we're doing this, but every month we are holding chapter meetings, pretty much like every other chapter. And these again are some of the, as you can see on our website, a lot of the different after action reports and what we've done along the way, and this especially last year, and we've continued to do this, working with the community. With some of the STEM or academic fairs, these are either the middle school, I think, or high school. In this case, the Anne Arundel community. Anne Arundel County academic and STEM fairs, and having some of our volunteers be judges for that. So again, we're interacting again with the local science fairs. There's also work with the community with different recruiting events. This is one of them in terms of, it's called Restart, and it's a hiring and networking event. And again, it may not necessarily be, linked directly to Incose, but it is also another way to be able, or that's, if people are looking for something else besides, jobs or networking, this is another opportunity to be able to interact with the local community there. Social events, and you'll see more pictures around here in the next coming slides. This is also some other things that we try to do. So we're not just all business; we are also fun as well. During the so with the exception of the last year or two, during the late summer, usually around August, the chapter will usually do a recognition a gala, an event for our newly minted systems engineering professionals. So the ASEPs, the new ASEPs, CSEPs, and ESEPs. And again, to be able to recognize, all the hard work and preparation that goes into, getting this awards or certification for that. And so that's generally in August, and generally in December, we'll also have that winter awards gala. So you saw a couple other screenshots from before. A couple more are coming on the way here. And that's again a good way to be able to close out the year. A lot of awards, both sort of on the company level, the sponsor level, as well as the individual level. The chapter will also, interact and support the two main events: the Incose International Workshop, typically held in January, and the International Symposium, normally held either in June or July. And again, these are kind of all over the world for that. And generally, the Chesapeake chapter has participated pretty strongly, among other chapters that also have a strong showing at these events. And then finally, the regional events, and we'll talk a little bit about those. And these are smaller events that we'll see. And I can talk a little bit about having gone to a couple of these, kind of what to expect. The international events, on the order of, between 800 to I think maybe 1,200, people at the International Symposium. These regional events are maybe a couple of hundred. So it's actually a little bit more intimate. It's usually by the region, and we'll get to those. We've got some slides there in terms of what the regions are. I know the Washington metropolitan area has a regional event. We haven't done one recently, but that was on like a biannual basis for them. So that's some of the typical things that you could find in pretty much any chapter. You could be able to find that you're doing something like this throughout the year. So taking a little look back, a little retrospective back, for the last couple of years, and kind of building up to why is this a challenge? So in 2020, calendar year 2020, as we all remember, we all started with live events, and everything was kind of to normal. And in March, the worldwide pandemic happens, and not only the Chesapeake chapter, but every chapter had to adjust, and had to adapt to virtual. So instead of being in a live session, so where it says Mike Pafford, and this is where the Applied Physics Laboratory where I work with, and this is the Parsons Auditorium, so it holds a couple hundred people, and that's generally where we would have our live live sessions, with our chapter meetings, and all those had to go away, again for obvious reasons. So the chapter had adapted, to different things. Could you, before this was Mike's report or presentation in June, and, had made some special arrangements to just, have him, I think him and Clinton, and that was it, in terms of the social distancing and doing that remote connection to the rest of the Incose world, for that. But, again, we've adapted to that and eventually kind of went to a little bit more of a Zoom, session. And I've seen other chapters that did the same thing and had, done Zoom or WebEx or other virtual meetup type locations there. And the international events were also affected as well. I remember going to the international workshop in Los Angeles in January, but then the international symposium, which was supposed to be in Cape Town, South Africa, was obviously changed to a virtual setting. And that's kind of how that was. So this was just a couple of snapshots from what we had. This is actually myself and Clinton down on the bottom left. This was actually February of 2020. And that's the last time I had spoken to the chapter. So, if you told me that almost 2 years to the day that instead of speaking, I would be the president of the chapter, I would not have known that. But so yes, so you too can be the president of the chapter, at some point. So yeah, so we ended our year with the annual awards ceremony that was virtual for that. So kind of looking back at a couple years ago, and as we sort of started to adapt to there, and up on the top right, that was one of the I think that was when we did some of the STEM and not mentoring, but helping out with the STEM fairs. Okay. So again, so what happened last year, so again, when Jeff became president, 2021, and it was, we continued that virtual, connectivity. I think we had all of our board meetings and all of our chapter meetings, over Zoom. And so did Incose. Incose had went from, the international workshop. Again, that was a virtual event, and the international symposium last year. So that was supposed to be in Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii, and that was virtual also for that. And as you all may have seen, if you were involved in any of these events, the top leadership was, very, Incose leadership was very transparent on, here's what's going on, here's what we're planning. And eventually, they came to a point where, hey, we need to go from a live, planning to a hybrid planning to a virtual sort of execution there. And so, the chapter had learned from last year's, lessons learned, and had matured the virtual connections and, execution of the meetings. I could see now, kind of the from the, and I saw this with a lot of chapters also in some of the meetings that I went to, some would kind of be, kind of working it and, trying to get the transitions right and switching from speaker to speaker. And then now you see in 2021, everyone's, a pro at, doing the Zoom, doing the virtual handoffs, sharing the screens, making sure it's the right screen you're sharing, not the duplicate one, and all of that good stuff. And so, yeah. And so I saw everyone, a lot of different chapters learning from their lessons learned and maturing it. And a lot of events went continually to be to virtual. Not only our systems engineering events, but other events that I saw through my work. Some cybersecurity events, some healthcare events, as well as some operations research type events as well. And so that was it was more virtual. And I'll say, this last bullet, meaning that may not necessarily have been that bad. I mean, yes, you always like to be able to, talk to people live, in the flesh, in person, and make new friends or refoster, your existing connections. But I did see that, and not only through systems engineering, but other domains, more events were open, they were available. A lot of them were free. And so that's always a good draw when you say, the price is right there to be able to come and go to, attend different events, and it took a little less pressure off, trying to be able to move your schedule around just to be able to get there. And I saw a lot of conferences also doing recordings. And so if you couldn't be there, like you had in the live meetings where you have to, drop everything else and, be there at the conference, this way you could kind of share, a little bit of both. You could still do some work and at time to time be in the meetings that you wanted to be, or, video recordings, watch those on demand. This is just one example. So in the Systems Engineering Conference, this was in Västerås, Sweden, back in June. And so again, that was in Sweden. We didn't get to go. It was just virtual. But for Incose members, it was ridiculously cheap. I think it was like $30 to attend there. So not exactly free, but not exactly full price like some of the other ones. So that was always there's another opportunity to be able to kind of meet some other folks. Again, this was a little smaller sort of scale, but then you get to see from their set of speakers, and they again drew kind of around the world, sort of people, and to be able to do all the speaking there. So if you're into systems engineering, I think this time next year, or actually this year, June of 2022, I think it's supposed to come to Philadelphia. And so again, if you're in the local DC area, Philly is not too far away. And again, more to come there for the systems folks. Okay, and then we finally finished last year with some live events. And so over on the left, we have Clinton and Mark over at the Guinness Brewery Company, and having a social event. Yeah, we put that out, and it was actually a tour of the brewing facilities, spaces, as well as a social event there. And so that was good to see, as well as over on the right with our winter gala over at the Engineers Club in Baltimore, Maryland, and that was a good time. These are just just a few of the pictures that we took. The rest of the pictures, I think, are actually on our website if you go to the event there. And so that was a good way. And again, here's the links down talking about the different sites. So again, kind of more to come with something like this. But this is a good way to be able to finish the year. And I'll say from personal experience from being here that it actually felt like a normal event, and that's actually one of the first events that I had been to in a couple of years, with as many people, live event, and doing your thing and with our winter gala. So so that was a good way to kick off or finish the year. Okay, so we kind of kicked you up to the present now, and sort of like a look into the future, and why are some of the challenges that we say. So again, everyone can read the news, what's happening here. We'll continue to follow our CDC guidance, as it affects live events. That was a big challenge from last year. I know that we were trying to look at doing live events, working with my organization, using our facilities, other organizations, and a lot of the unknown, a lot of the guidance again had changed, from month to month. It seemed like sometimes just as current events went along. So in that sort of vein of thought, we'll continue to leverage some of our virtual events and connections like we're doing like today, with that. But then also look to take our lessons learned make those virtual events better from what we learned from the last, year and a half of doing this. And how do you make that better, virtually until you get to some point where it's back to, either a live or a hybrid sort of session. And it's good to see, a lot of the, and actually we saw this from last year where we've got a lot of other people, and some of them are in the audience here that have been, continuing to keep revisiting and participating in our meetings. So thank you for continuing to join our chapter, and I'll encourage everyone to look at, not only at our chapter but other chapters, time permitting. It's on the Incose website. Some are a little bit more prevalent than others. I know I go to a few, in just to see how everyone does their chapter meetings, a little different, a little different focus, and so it's always good to be able to see that. Some of the other things that we're going to look at for this year. So every year we use a survey to the chapter, and for those of you that had seen this from last year, we had asked a bunch of questions about where the chapter's direction could go, should go. What are you interested in? If you had some other topics of interest that we could use in our monthly lecture series, what would those be? And other volunteer sort of areas, and we use those to be able to help chart the chart our future course there. And so I think you might have seen this. This was around like June, I think, of last year. And again, where Clinton had said, here's the next couple of months already lined up, because he's he works a couple of months in advance. We're going to do the same thing. And so we're going to use last year's survey, continue to use that. We're going to introduce a survey probably earlier than that, earlier in the year, to help shape, the chapters and the program's kind of direction. And again, trying to just, it's more driven by our membership here. If the membership also has some strong desires to, look at certain items. I think last year, as an example, it was model-based systems engineering training, and so we were able to leverage Mr. Casey Medina, and he talked, it had a really great presentation on the MBSC tool sets. Had some academic licenses. He actually did this for a couple other chapters as well, and so that was one way to show, like, hey, being very very responsive to, the membership needs. And then, here we're able to turn that around and provide that service there. So again, we'd like to be able to continue that sort of things, but, we need your help. So, we can't read minds here. So if you've got some other, good thoughts and suggestions, please send them to the board members. So Incose International Workshop starts in 9 days. This is a hybrid event. Some of us are participating from the chapter here. I'm participating. I'll be remote. I know others that are going out there to Los Angeles. And so this will be Incose's first larger hybrid event. And we'll see how that goes. I'll be very interested, as with everyone else, interested in seeing what how that goes, and how connected you feel. I mean, and we've all seen it from either being in live meetings and being sort of on the outside, kind of looking in. If you're also, on the inside and you have other people kind of looking in, from the outside as well, how does that work? And what could you do better? Being on which side you are. So yeah, we'll be interested to see how that goes. And then the International Symposium, I think this is in Detroit, Michigan, in the end of June. I think it possibly could be a hybrid event also, and definitely we'll see how the lessons are learned, and what the state of the world is in June there. So with that having been said, some of the challenges for the chapter is, trying to use some creative use of the chapter's energy. for that. You saw the pictures, a couple of slides ago about, how we did some live events, and we transitioned and pivoted from, just our traditional sort of, events, in a certain area, in trying to go, in a little different direction, and maybe some of the live events. And if beer making is not your thing, that may be okay. Maybe there's some other ways to do that. And maybe it's more outdoor events. I know we were trying to kick around some of the ideas from last time about some of the outdoor events. We were all not as savvy at that point, with that. So, having taken those lessons learned, maybe we can do some advanced planning, and maybe do some of that. If that helps, some of the members, a little bit more comfortable than, being in an indoor, kind of an event where you got a lot of people in one enclosed area. Again, we'll look from this year to be able to do, maybe some outdoor events. Again, kind of pivoting to, as the world events turn there, as well as some of the collaboration with our other, neighboring chapters. So there's a good chance that you could see, some of our other chapters, the Washington metropolitan area or the Southern Maryland or others. As we connect with them. It's very easy to do this virtually. It takes a little bit more coordination doing it live. But that's something that we can look at, in the later part of the year there, to try to work with them. Outdoor events could also be, some golf events. I think if there's some golfers in the audience, I think we've got some other thoughts on doing some of that as well. Again, not something that we normally do, but so we may try to do that. So if that's of interest, then get your game together there. And then finally, our last bullet is our CSEP encouragement and recognition. And so again, back to that August time. Where we've introduced, and recognized some of our CSEPs in the fall time. And again, the last 2 years, we've condensed that into our winter gala. And so could we kind of break that out again? And, and it is a big deal to be a CSEP, to be able to do all the, either the training, the tests, the certification process, the experience, the letter of recommendation. Everyone that has been a CSEP of some sort knows what I'm talking about. That you need to do a lot more efforts to be able to get the certification. And so we want to be able to recognize them as well as encourage others, that may not know a whole lot about certification. And so if you've got questions. Well, congratulations. In a couple of slides, we're actually going to talk a little bit about certification. So these are some of the things that we're looking to do in the future. Okay, and so with that, if you're interested in certification, we can definitely help here. As you saw there on the picture, nearly 2/3 of our chapter is certified to some degree there. The chapter has some other advisors within, as you saw on one of the previous slides, with some advisors. There's others that actually have a lot more knowledge within the chapter about the certification, and we've also got some local resources to be able to provide some of the assistance there. So two pictures on the right. On the top right is Courtney Wright. So she's actually the certification, I guess, director for all of Incose. She's a friend of the chapter. She comes, regularly to some of our chapter meetings, especially with our CSEP recognition events. And so these are just a few of her videos. So check it out if you're interested in certification. Watch hers. This is only about like a 2-minute talk. She just talks real briefly about it. She's got a lot more videos, and I think the last year she actually had like a an interview a day for, I think, September, where she talked about different certification or people that were certified and had all their testimonials. So it was a really good thing. Check those out if you're interested. They're definitely in the archives. And then, Paul Martin, who's part of our chapter here, he had just done, this is back in October, had a whole hour talking about the certification process, understanding it, what goes on. So if you like Courtney's, 2-minute talk, go to Paul's. His is an hour and 10-minute talk. If you're still hooked, then ask some of us, around the chapter here. We definitely help, and point you in the right direction. There's a lot of different ways to attain certification. You can do it sort of, just on your own, and here's your materials, and go at it and start learning it, and do what you need, for whatever level certification that you need to do. Or you can choose to, enroll in a boot camp, service, or classes that will meet. I know some companies have their own boot camp type areas. So there's other local resources that you can also hire to be able to help you along. And if you get a group along with you, it's kind of like exercise, right? If you get more people with you, then you're more likely to stick with it. And so again, the certification recognition, and why we're spending so much time with this. I've seen this at both the International Symposium, the international workshops. They actually have their own specific event, and if it's just for the CEPs, and is their recognition to be able to go and have that sort of I won't say exclusive club, but it's their events, and they take it pretty seriously. I mean, I remember in the live sessions in the workshops, as well as the symposium, in the general plenary sessions, invariably in the first day, someone will say, like, well, all the steps, please rise and be recognized. Hopefully that's done in other organizations, with other certification, sort of levels also. But yeah, I've seen that kind of continually through Incose, and with the almost 10 years that I've been going to the symposiums and the workshops. And then we talked about our Chesapeake chapter recognition. So the picture in the middle, they kind of look like Olympic, medals. Those are actually the Chesapeake, crest and the medals that we actually make. So we have a member that will actually, hand drill them and create these medals, and that's what we present to the CEPs in our chapter who attain that. And then we've done that either at that August or December screens there. Okay. So again, plenty of resources to talk about certification. So please ask if you have any other questions. All right. Okay. So if you're pretty jazzed here, sounds great. How else can I get involved? So I'm glad you asked. So we've got plenty of ways to be able to get involved in our chapter. And so like Clinton had said, programs committees, they're the ones that plan a lot of the events. The monthly meetings, they look ahead, so if you're that type of person that likes, doing some of the planning, doing some of the organizing, looking out, here's the preview of what's happening in, the chapter. This is your committee here, and they have monthly meetings. Communications committee. So if you're interested in, a little bit more on the connecting with the world, definitely we'll welcome any help, in terms of having some assistance with, the newsletter that we provide the membership, every month. And there's also the social media, areas. We have a pretty strong LinkedIn presence. If you're more into some of the other social media and you're very savvy about it, and you want to be able to help, with us, I think right now we're only we're only on LinkedIn, but if you're a big, Instagram or Facebook or one of those other users, and a lot of experience and a lot of energy, please, let us know. And we'd love to have you help spread our word there. And not only just the committees, but, also individual contributions as well. And so as you see in some of our chapter newsletters, and you can look at all of those on our website. There's also individual parts of, if you have a class or a textbook or something that you want to be able to write a little about, or sort of a testimonial for that, or some techniques or tools. This is, you don't have to write 8 pages. This isn't the New York Times or anything that we're building, but yeah, we're able to provide that to our membership. Or if you have some technical talks or tutorials, I think we're also going to do some other tutorials that we've done from time to time. And again, this may be sort of a joint effort with some of the other chapters as well. And so Alexandra Skalkos, you're going to meet with us next week, as she has her own, technical talk that she's going to talk about. It's a little off cycle from our monthly meetings, and that's fine, to be able to get her into this time to be able to provide that information about the control systems. So those are, so you can go from committees all the way down to individually. Just let us know. The working groups, and you just heard about the healthcare working groups. And so, yes, that's something that we're going to try to provide. And again, I think it's like about 60 different working groups with the Incose ones. And so, yeah, that will be a big thing to try to impress upon folks that are in the working groups now, that you want to be able to just talk to us for, 5 or so minutes, like I did with the healthcare. Absolutely. You don't need a 45-minute, sort of formal lecture. It can just be, a couple of screenshots, talking about the working group, and it definitely comes a lot better than some of the others. If you're actually involved in it, and then again with if you're a CSEP, and if you need some other activities to maintain your certification, yeah, please ask us. All those other events that we just talked about before, you definitely can get some extra points that if you need that to be able to maintain your certification. Absolutely there. Yeah. So Steve, good question there in the chat with the college scholarships. Yeah. I think that was also along with the I think it was the University of Maryland chapter as well. Yeah, we had done this. I think the last time I saw this was Orlando, when we had the last live part, where if there were some students that had some contributions to the symposium, either as like in a booth, or if it was a paper, yeah, we would. I think the chapter would do a little bit of fundraising to be able to send some students there. The last 2 years were virtual. So yeah, obviously, we I don't think we had that, but yeah, definitely. I'm glad you brought that up, Steve. Yeah, so I think some of the students, if they're available, yeah, we can definitely look at providing some support there. Yes, and Steve also had a good comment in the chat here. He's very involved in the Critical Infrastructure and Protection Recovery, or CIPR, working group. And yeah, he's got a lot of good things. He just sent us the some of the other information. So if you're involved in the international workshop, that chapter, I've also dipped a little bit into that working group, not as much as Steve and others, but yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. They have a lot of people all over the country and all over the world actually involved in the working group, and a lot of energy. They have a lot of I think it's about 6 meetings that I saw that were going on in the workshop so starting next week, I think, when the IW starts. So if you're involved in the IW, if already registered, check out the SIPR working group or contact Steve Sutton, on the chat now, if you're more interested in that. Okay. All right. So like I said, lots of places to get involved in. Okay. Wrapping up here. So what are we looking at for the future for 2022? So chapter meetings are every third Wednesday of the month, like here. Program committee meetings, that's the last Wednesday of the month. So let me back up for a sec. So chapter meetings. So how you got here? If you've got here, then you obviously went through the Eventbrite, through the link, and that's one way to be able to kind of count. Like here's the level of excitement that we've got for the chapter. So again, plenty of stuff already up there. Like I said, Clinton's got it for the next 2 months already planned out. Program committees, that happens the last Wednesday of the month. If you're interested in that, please contact the program committee. The IW we just talked about, that starts in 9 days. The chapter survey, just to kind of let everyone know, this is what we had presented to the hyperlink is from last year's survey. So we reported out to the chapter. This is what came out of the survey. So I'd like to look at maybe the first quarter of this year. So the first quarter being January, February, March. We try to get the survey out earlier. Try to get the memberships comments, and hopefully that'll help the programs as well as the rest of the chapter on here are the other areas where it's of interest, and so Ona and Sherwood and a few others. Yeah, thanks for the shout out for that the Casey's MBSE class. Again, if you like that, if you want more of that, please let us know. This chapter kind of exists to serve the membership. So check out the chaptership survey. The other thing that we the board of directors has to do is to update our chapter operating plan, and that's given to the chapter for viewing. And so we have those and we update those on an annual basis. This is a hyperlink, so go into the website. Here's where our existing operating plan is, and then we're going to look to be able to update those. The symposium in July, this is in Detroit, Michigan. I think next year, the symposium will be in Honolulu, Hawaii. The next year after that, 2024, it's supposed to be somewhere to be determined outside the US. So at least that's what I had heard the last time I saw the IS work. Again, with that CSEP recognition, events, hopefully we can do that in sort of that fall, late summer, fall time. Again, some of those other activities. Again, it depends on how it's going with the world. If it's indoors, outdoors, or both. And we'll try to be a little creative on doing some other fun things. And then again, hopefully the Winter Gala will continue in December. All right. Other links of interest, I won't talk to these. You can get these links here later on, but these are just some of the other events that are going on. If you want to know more about Incose, just at the grand chapter sort of level and all the different other chapters, that's your link. A couple of the other events that are going on, the System of Systems one, the healthcare one that we just talked about, the regional conferences. Right now I know of 2 regional ones. So the Great Lakes one, this is all the Midwest chapters. I've been to those a couple of times. Those are really good. I have not been out to the Western States one. I've seen that grow in popularity the last couple of years. And in the New England chapter, they're very active. They always have this fall workshop. So, if you're interested in that, a lot of these are virtual as well. So you don't have to fly up to Boston for that. So check those out. All the YouTube, our YouTube channel, very active. We post all of our chapter meetings and our recordings, this one as well. And you can also see other chapters also will provide this. All right, so that's it.